Our episode today is about
Messi, 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 immens Messi, encara 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 Messi.
who among us doesn't know who Lionel Messi is, the legendary player who achieved everything in football. But here we must mention Messi's beginnings, and I tell you that here you will hear the story in a different way. So are you ready? You need to know that Jorge Messi, Messi's father, is the person who has all the keys to Lionel Messi before Messi was even born. Before Messi was born, his father was working at the Excinder Iron and Steel Company as a 29-year-old young man. At this age, Jorge was the father of two children, Matias and Rodrigo. And let me tell you that Jorge was suffering like any member of the people of Rosario, located in Argentina. What you don't know about Rosario is that it is a city made up of immigrants and many slums. Argentina in general was suffering from the scourges of the Falklands War with Britain. Other than that, Argentina entered into a lot of difficulties, as the army entered into a war with the president, and the country was on the verge of civil war. All of this created in Jorge a natural fear and anxiety about what was happening in his country, and he found that the most appropriate solution was to travel and emigrate. He set his goal to immigrate to Australia to travel and start a new life so that he could provide himself and his family with a decent life. But all of this remained a dream and an unattainable goal. On the 24th of June of the year 1987, Lionel Messi's baby was born. The truth here is that it did not rain, nor was there a full moon or anything like what we see on the night of the hero's birth in stories and movies. All what happened on this day for Jorge Messi's family is that they became one more person and they were worried about his future. Now let's go to football. The idea of football was one of the biggest solutions for this family to escape and survive extreme poverty, and this was common at that time for any Latino who wanted to stay away from poverty. But the problem lies in the talent, whether it exists or not. Jorge Messi had a small part of the experience when he was young, as he was a defensive midfielder, but he failed to reach the professional level. However, despite the failure of Jorge Messi's experiment, he also tried to make his two sons, Matias and Rodrigo, become professional football players, but this failed. But guess what happened next when the child, Messi, reached the age of 4, then everything began to change. Jorge began to notice something exceptional about this child. He believed that this child with his golden foot was the solution to escape poverty and survive. When Jorge saw hope in his son, he decided to take part of his day to watch and care for his child, Messi. Believe me, this was a very difficult process for an employee in one of the iron and steel companies, but over time, Jorge realized that he must increase his interest in Messi more and more, and as events increased and escalated, in this young child's life, a glimmer of hope came. The child, Leo Messi, joined a local team in Argentina called Grandoli. With Messi joining this global team, the idea began that Messi was the solution to all of Jorge's problems. Here, Jorge decided to become Grandoli's coach, in order to preserve the football jewel, Leo Messi. A very short time later, Jorge reaped the fruits of the dream he saw in his young child, as Messi joined one of Rosario's biggest teams, Newell's Old Boys, when he was 6 years old. With this spark, Messi showed amazing talent with the red and black team. According to many sources, Messi was scoring more than 100 goals in the one season and performing at higher levels than all the children of the same age. Here Jorge, Messi's father, decided to devote himself completely to his son, Leo Messi. But then came the shock that most of us have heard about. The disease began to appear in Lionel when he was 9 years old. Doctors diagnosed his disease as a rare disease, in the growth hormone. And from here the problem of Messi's treatment arose. It was impossible for Messi's family at this time to bear the costs of this treatment, as it was very expensive. But let me tell you that this disease is also considered one of the most important reasons for Messi's presence in Europe. If it were not for this disease, who knows what would have happened? Let me explain to you. The company in which Messi's father, Jorge, worked covered the price of the treatment for 2 years, but after that they stopped paying the costs of the treatment. And here Messi's father resorted to Newell's Old Boys. The club agreed, but after a while, the club's management began to withdraw from paying the costs. Coincidentally, during the time of Messi's illness, River Plate Club happened to open an office in Rosario. And here, of course, Jorge went to them to solve his son's problem. In the beginning, the club stipulated that this child's talent be tested. And after they saw his extraordinary ability, they decided to accept Messi's father's request. But on the condition that he come with the approval of Newell's Old Boys Club to abandon Messi's contract with them, and Jorge actually tried to do that, but with no avail, as Newell's Old Boys Club refused. During this period, depression began to affect Jorge because he saw his son and his dream evaporating. So he began looking for player agents to market his son's legendary talent. Like Fabian Basualdo, the former player of Newell's Old Boys, he was working as a player agent. Even though he rejected all the offers to make his son sign with a player agent before this disease appeared of Messi, as he was afraid that agents would exploit his son in financial matters. But with the outbreak of illness and the lack of many solutions, Jorge depended on that solution, turned to players' agents, because they have an excellent network of relationships that will help in marketing Messi. And here the opportunity came to Jorge through two of the top agents, Fabian Soldini and Montero. When they saw Messi's overwhelming talent, Messi shone in their eyes, and they told his father that this boy would have a bright future in European football. As they told him that if he went to Italy or Spain, he would be one of the most important stars. But in the beginning, Messi's father did not believe them. Until Soldini and Montero got an audition for Messi in Europe, Messi's father was convinced and the hope back to him. Then they signed a contract to become Messi's agents in the year 2000. At that time, Messi was only 13 years old. The two agents did their search and reached an agreement with Horacio Gaggioli, who was working in real estate at this time. Horacio contacted Josep Maria Minguella, who was one of the top players' agents. By the way, he became the transfer advisor of Barcelona in the era of Laporta. And already on October 3rd, Lionel was chosen by the financial director of FC Barcelona, Carles Rexach, so that Messi became a player for FC Barcelona. And here all the doors were open for Jorge to achieve his dreams, as the administration pledged to take care of his son's treatment. But all of this, my friend, is like talk between the club's management, the agents, and Messi's father. After Messi passed the tests and was accepted, he and his father returned to Rosario, Argentina. They waited for the official invitation from the club. In a month, 2 and 3 months passed until doubt began to fill Jorge Messi's mind. So Messi's father decided to speak to Gaggioli. And on December 4th, Gaggioli met with Messi's agents at a restaurant in Barcelona. Gaggioli put pressure on Carles Rexach, the Barcelona's chief financial officer. Gaggioli told him that he would offer Messi to Real Madrid, and he informed him that Messi's family did not trust him unless he gave them a written approval. Here, Carles Rexach took out a handkerchief and wrote on it a pledge of the club's responsibility to sign with Messi and wrote the terms agreed upon. They all went ahead with it. But Messi's father knew that this was not enough to take his family to Barcelona. Jorge stipulated that the Barcelona administration must give them a house to live in Barcelona, and also find a job for Jorge at the club. And indeed, Carles Rexach was able to solve these problems by providing a £40,000 salary for Lionel and a job for Jorge Messi within the club. And here finally the dream came true. And Messi's family moved to Barcelona on February 15, 2001. And on March 6, 2001, Messi started with the children's Team B. He scored a goal in his first match. But he was supposed to start with Team A. This didn't happen in the beginning because they consider Messi as an expatriate. He was not entitled to play in national championships, and also because Barcelona was not able to include him in the Spanish Federation until all procedures were completed and all necessary papers were obtained from his old club, Newell's Old Boys. But in general, the Golden Boy excelled as usual and convinced everyone that he was the one who would be the future of football. However, his start with Barcelona was difficult morally and physically, because he suffered a serious injury as a result of one of the defenders' violent intervention on him, and this was considered Lionel's first injury in history. Morally, it was because of Messi's aunt, as she was undergoing surgery in Rosario, Argentina. So they had to choose between staying in Rosario next to their aunt or returning to Barcelona for the Golden Dream, and Messi chose Barcelona. But here we must think about who actually chose, the young Messi or Messi's father. In the end, the family was divided into two halves. Messi's mother and his brothers Matias and Rodrigo will remain with their aunt in Argentina, and Messi and his father Jorge will return to complete their dream in Barcelona. All these burden is on this young boy. He was far from his homeland and his family, but the golden boy realized the size of the responsibility that had become on his shoulders. Alex Garcia, the former Barcelona defender who coached Messi, spoke and said that when he was asking Messi about family and country, the young boy was pretending not to care. Garcia added that when Messi turned 15 years old, he realized that Barcelona is the opportunity that will completely change his life and the life of his family, because he saw that his family sacrificed its stability for the sake of his talent. Indeed, Messi exploded in the 2002 to 2003 seasons, as he was the only player to play 30 out of the 30 matches in which he scored 36 goals, including 3 hat-tricks. He won 2 Spanish Youth League titles and also the Catalonia Cup, and in just 1 year, Leo moved from the B team to the under-16 team, then moved to the 3rd team, then to the 2nd team of Barcelona, and finally on November 16, 2003, Lionel touched stardom and appeared with Barcelona's first team. They were in a friendly match between Porto and Barcelona. Lionel's appearance in Barcelona's first team came due to the many absences. Resulting from that, most of the team's big stars were getting ready for play for Euro 2004, so Barcelona had to call up young names to fill the deficit, so it was one of these names, as we mentioned, Lionel Messi. In this match, Messi entered as a 3rd substitute in the 74th minute of the match. Although Barcelona lost 2-0, Messi was able to create 2 clear chances and significantly change the team's performance. Barcelona's coach at the time, Frank Rijkaard, commented on Messi's performance, saying that he has a fabulous talent and will have a promising future in the world of football. This made Jorge Messi, Lionel's father, move again to ask Barcelona for an official professional contract for Lionel, so Jorge repeated his pressure by threatening the club management that he would make Messi go either to Arsenal or with Real Madrid, which angered the management because Arsenal was actually interested in contracting with this young boy, and Real Madrid also wanted to kidnap this young talent. The Barcelona management agreed to Jorge Messi's demands because they also didn't want to arouse the anger of the fans, as during this period Real Madrid extracted Luis Figo from Barcelona, and that was like a slap in the face to the Barcelona administration. So they did not want to repeat this matter with Leo. However, the terms of this contract were very unbelievable to the Barcelona administration, as Jorge Messi set the purchase clause of the contract at €30 million, which is a very huge amount to a player who is still young and has not completed his career at 17 years old. But after a lot of quarrels and disagreements between Jorge Messi and the Barcelona managers, it actually happened and they signed the contract.
Jorge Messi got everything he wanted and he is now in Spain. With time and Lionel's brilliance, the Barcelona management raised the value of the contract from 30 million to 80 million euros. Can you imagine that number? With Lionel participating in the 2004 and 2005 seasons, he played his first match in the Champions League. He also participated in 7 matches in the Spanish La Liga, and among these matches came his first historic goal on May 1, 2005 from Ronaldinho's assist. Lionel came on in the last 3 minutes of the match replacing Samuel Eto'o, and from here the most famous story of all times began, the story of Messi in Barcelona, and also the most famous rivalry in football, Messi and Cristiano, and that is what we will continue in part 2 of this episode.